Hello everybody, welcome back to the third installment of Safety Check. And today we have none other than Shi No Numa. Now before we've even loaded up the map, I noticed the mission briefing for this already signals some red flags. Let's just have a look at this. The mission briefing for Shi No Numa reads: maggot-ridden corpses, bug-infested swamp, hundreds of undead Imperial army. Choose your tactic and defend for your lives. Now, maggot-ridden corpses and bug-infested swamps don't sound very safe to me, but of course we gotta go check it out. So let's get into it. Here we go, Shi No Numa, and oh my god, what is that smell? Oh, safety is off to a very good start here, adding a beep effect. But in all seriousness, you can't really have a guy hanging from the roof. That's not a good start to any safety check, but we'll come back to you later, little guy. The first thing I want to do, like every other time, is go through the initial low tier risks and make our way up to the high tier ones. So we're going to first pick out any low tier risks that we can find around this map. Now, the first thing I'm thinking from the get-go is definitely the hygiene. And I feel like that's going to be a common factor in a lot of these zombies maps, because let's be honest, we're fighting the undead here. But we have the usual suspects, you know, we've got blood all over the floor, which is never a good start. I mean, look, you just got fruit kind of laying about everywhere. It's already starting to turn brown, which isn't a good thing. Obviously means that it's not being kept very well. You can see in loads of different areas, you've got loads of like flies and bugs that are drawn in by the dirt, which is never good. Now, obviously that is going to be a bit more natural because of the area we're in. But I mean, when you can see them around your food as well, that's never good, especially when you like already cut up your food as well. But it just means that all this food that's not stored properly is also going to be going rotten because, you know, there's flies all over them. And even worse, you got dead corpses just rotting away, just chilling out here. I mean, I know this is meant to be the doctor's quarters, but when you think of it, doctor's quarters, you know, are meant to be hygienic. They're not meant to look like this. I mean, for goodness sake, you've literally got rotting corpses on the operation tables. They're even on the floor, just piling up, causing them to rot, to attract bugs and flies. It's just going to get worse and worse. And look, I was talking about the food. I mean, you've got fish just out in the open. They're going to rot so quickly and so easily. And you can already tell because all the maggots and flies they're attracting. Again, look at them all. This is not hygienic in the slightest. So to me, the hygiene levels are definitely low, which isn't a good start. But realistically, I can't see myself putting hygiene any higher than the minimum, which is 70. Now, apart from hygiene, the only other low tier risks that I can kind of really identify is the possibility of being burnt. Now, when you look at the top of this building, you can see there is fire going on here. And what is that building made out of? It's made out of wood and hay, mainly, which, when it comes to fire, don't really mix. Now, for the amount of fire that there actually is, you could say that that is actually high-grade burn possibility, but it is all on the roof mainly, meaning that it's not actually getting to us as it stands. So whilst it is a high chance of burning us if it did actually catch us, there's actually no way for us to get hurt by it on the map as it stands. I mean, you can try jump up to it, but you might just warm your hair up a bit, if anything. Apart from that, you're not really being affected by the fire. So I am going to put it down as a low tier risk, but I'm going to put it fairly high because, let's be honest, it's not really affecting us that much. So for that reason, I'm going to give low tier burns an overall rating of 95. Now, for the final low tier threat, it's actually going to be equipment. And now, when you think of equipment, it can be a few different things. But in this situation, equipment is actually going to be the use of these traps. Now, I know traps are kind of built in and you have to activate them. And for that reason, we're going to put them specifically to one type. And it's going to be the type that can hurt you. So when you think of like machine guns in Kino, they can't hurt you. But ones like this, if you do get caught by it, let's be honest, that's going to hurt you. I mean, look at it. It's a massive log with spikes on it. I mean, that hits me and that hurts. And like I said, that does hurt, but it doesn't do much damage. And at the end of the day, you have to be pretty idiotic to actually run through it. So for that reason, I'm going to give it an 80. Now, I think that's going to do it for the low tier risks. So now we're going to move on and see if we can identify any medium tier risks. Now looking through the list, electrocution isn't going to be an issue. Falling isn't going to be an issue. High-grade burns isn't going to be an issue. There's also going to be no issue when it comes to suffocation, machinery, or vehicle. So straight away, it's not looking terrible when it comes to the medium tier risk. But one thing I do want to look at is the building stability. Now, like we said earlier, this building's on fire, which isn't great. And when you look, there are chunks of wood everywhere on the floor, which means the building is falling apart. That's, of course, never a good start. We move on to the next outhouse. You can once again see the roof has collapsed on us. I mean, this doesn't look like it's built very well. Let's be honest. The comms room looks like it's struggling. Inside doesn't look terrible, but I mean, look at the state of the roof. This thing's hanging on by a thread. I mean, this thing's basically collapsed here, and you know, that's not going to cover you. Also, a lot of these walkways are broken, which isn't good. I know it's technically not a building, but you know, it's part of our walkway, which is quite vital. I mean, that's literally just hanging on there by a thread. The main building itself isn't too bad. Mind you, I think there's a little bit of a door missing there. The roof is missing on the top, which is a bit of an issue. We've got a little hole here as well, which we can peep through. And to be honest, while there's loads of planks falling down, a little bit from the roof, I imagine, the doctor's quarters doesn't look terrible, he says as he walks into this room and realizes half the roof has collapsed onto the floor. So I might take that back a little bit. But like I said, compared to the likes of some of the things we saw in Virakt and it's not terrible overall. So I'm going to give, which is probably going to be our only medium tier risk from this map, building stability is going to get an overall of 50. Okay, before we do move on to the high tier risk, there is actually something else I thought of. And that thought came to me when I was just thinking about the traps, specifically the flogger. But what I forgot was that there's actually different types of traps on this map. And each one of these huts actually has electric trap. You know, big bolts of electric that could hurt you. Now, as you can see, that hurts. If you don't have Jug, you're going down, which is never good for you. So because of this, we are going to have to put it as a fairly dangerous risk. Now, like I said, if you have Jug, you'll survive it. If you only have Quick Revive, you're getting downed. If you don't have Quick Revive, you're dead. So it's a fairly dangerous one, in my opinion. And for that reason, I'm going to have to give it a 40. Okay, now we move on to the high tier risk. Now, I don't think there's any chance of explosions going on around here. And apart from the flogger that has really small spikes, there isn't going to be any situations where we're going to get impaled. Let's be honest. But one thing that there is plenty of in Shi No Numa is water. I mean, you go outside any direction, you have got an abundance of water. And now, whilst it might not be the deepest of waters, there's still plenty of it. I mean, it goes up to my knees, which, you know, isn't massively deep in itself. And now, whilst it's not deep, you can actually drown in quite small amounts of water. Smaller than what we have going on around these swamps. Plus, I don't even know what could be in these swamps, which could be another hazard in themselves. But because I can't actually see anything, I'm going to just go with drowning. Now, this is a high tier risk, so we can rank it anywhere between 1 and 30. And whilst drowning can be very, very deadly, I'm not going to put it too low down because of the height of the water. So I'm actually going to give it a 15, solely because it only goes up to my knees. It's a kind of situation where you can drown if you're silly, but realistically, you shouldn't be silly. So this is going to get a 50. Now that we've got drowning out of the way, there is one final risk that I'm taking into consideration, and that is going back to what we originally saw when we first entered this map, and it's our good old friend that's been hanging around here for quite some time. Now, all I'm saying is, if this guy falls on you, he's going to crush you to death, isn't he now? Dead bodies are pretty heavy, let's be honest. If this thing fell on you, it's really, really going to hurt. And I don't know if any of you have seen, but there's actually a speed run for this, where if this body's moving enough, it can actually kill you. So being crushed is a real risk here. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 15. Because whilst it could kill you, you might be able to survive being crushed from that height. There is a chance. And that to me is every single thing that could be a risk in Shi No Numa. Now we look for safety. Now the first thing I'm noticing on this is there's actually a lot of railings around the main building, which is nice. I mean, this thing's covered off, so you can't just jump over here as well, which is handy. Safety railings, none of them are broken, which is really nice. And even around the outer parts of the map, everything is cordoned off. Even the walkways are cordoned off. So I'm willing to give Shi No Numa a +5 for safety railings. Now there is some sort of flammable sign here that I can see, but realistically, there's nothing inside this shed that suggests that there's anything that would be flammable. So I'm not really sure why it's there. And if I'm honest, I can't read whatever this writing is. And unfortunately, I wouldn't even know how to translate it. So I can't even tell if it's meant to be like an explosive shed or something. If there is someone watching the video that knows what that means, then by all means, please do tell me, because it would help doing the safety check. But apart from that, there are no other safety signs. There's no PPE and there's no fire safety. So I don't think I can justify giving it anything else apart from railing. So saying that, I think we have concluded all of the risks and safety features that Shi No Numa has. And just to recap, we have a total of 7 hazards, which are hygiene at 70, low tier burns at 95, equipment at 80, building stability at 50, electrocution at 40, drowning at 15, and being crushed at 15. Now, when we put all of these scores together, we do actually get a mean total of 52, which actually puts it quite low. But of course, we do have the safety railings to add in, which is a +5 overall, which puts it up to a 57 out of 100 in total. Overall, still not great on the safety side. But I guess, what can you expect when you are in a swamp? But with an overall rating of 57 out of 100, that does mean Shi No Numa is just about in the at-risk column. With a 57, it just goes under the threshold, which is 59 out of 100. So this is our first at-risk map, meaning that Verrucht is still the safest map we have come across so far, and meaning that Nacht der Untoten is now no longer the lowest ranked map, and actually Shi No Numa has taken its place. Like I said, I'm not too surprised about this, considering we are in a corpse infested swamp. It does not surprise me at all that this has become the lowest ranked map. But do not worry, there are plenty of other maps still to be ranked throughout this series. And just so we know, the next map will actually not be the Reese, but we will actually be moving on to none other than Gino de Toten. And the reason for this is I still have the Giant do as well. And since I don't actually have World at War or the original de Reese on my PC, I'm just going to count them both as the same map and do the Giant. Let's be honest, there's no changes between de Reese and the Giant realistically, so there's no point me doing it twice. So to save myself some time, I'm going to move on to Black Ops 1. And let's be honest, I know you guys want me to get onto the newer Black Ops maps, so that is exactly what we're going to do. And having seen a lot of comments, I know you guys are really excited for Black Ops 2. So this just puts us one step closer to that goal. But of course, if you want to see me reach Black Ops 2 in our safety check series, then I need you guys to leave a like on the video and comment what map you are looking forward to seeing the most. And if you've gone that far, why not hit that subscribe button as well? We are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Hell, I might have even hit it by the time this video comes out. But if I haven't, hit that subscribe button because we want to hit that target. But apart from that, that is the end of today's video. I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope to see you all very soon in the next video.